And welcome to the World Builders Library. Short episode today, but doing another video on teleport circles turned into an existential crisis. If you've listened to my last few videos, I've been building this up. 5 minutes into research and review informed me that any dilemma that might have existed was totally of my own making. Another minute of contemplation revealed that there was no dilemma at all. Now there is going to be a video someday expanding my concepts, but it's also going to include more high development topics to present that complete sense of fulfillment that you have all gotten so used to after finishing one of my highbrow episodes. For now, we're going to deal with somebody else's existential breakdown. Specifically, why does my warlock say he's a cleric barbarian? In D&D, and probably most TTRPGs, we have a problem with overlapping tags and titles. In many cases, no good names at all exist for the things that we are trying to describe. It's not surprising. I mean, let's face it, it's being marketed as a game where at least 80% of the player base are super casual. They play to be part of the group, an activity for friends, or because a significant other or BFF is involved. They don't care about the difference between orcs and trolls and urukai. They often forget what rolling with advantage means, and telling them that they have the poison condition could mean anything from a sick tummy to time to roll up a new character. If you're one of these people, alright, well, let's face it, if you're one of those people, you're not listening to my videos. However, if you know one of these people, tell them I love them, and that I said thank you for playing. Tell them I said they are the bravest people on earth for joining into a complicated game with a high learning curve that people like me take way too seriously. You are the ones that keep this game alive. Thank you. So, why is the warlock a cleric and a barbarian? Every character is at least 3 different things, all at the same time. In technical terms, that character is the character class listed in the rule set they follow. The player of that character needs to know what that is, and so does their DM. It doesn't hurt for the other players to know. If you want to muddle your character's identity a little bit, that's fine, but don't keep unnecessary secrets. It's just cumbersome, annoying, and kind of antisocial behavior in a game that is supposed to be social. So, play characters that play well with others. The second thing every character is the job or jobs they fulfill in-game. That's where you hear things like tanks and DPS fighters, or healers and party faces. There are lots of jobs, and there is overlap. There is no reason one character cannot have multiple job titles. A ranger might be the party survival expert and range specialist. That means they manage the group's movement on the trail, they pick the routes, they find campsites. It might mean that they handle the pack animals and upgrade tents and other equipment. As a range specialist in combat, they can target almost any enemy at any time. That means they target adversaries that might quickly be removed from the field. Yeah, they're professional kill stealers. But they might also be the one putting pressure on enemy spellcasters. Tanks are an easy one. Get into combat, get into melee, get close up with your enemies, and absorb attacks. Now, barbarians are great for this, but so are high AC fighters, clerics, and others. Party faces might be bards, warlocks, anyone with high charisma. They often are the character of the player that likes to do the talking. I would highly recommend groups think about who they want to do the talking and let them do it. It might change from social encounter to encounter. Maybe the bards handle in-town stuff and the paladin takes the lead in conversations that are likely to turn into combat. Point is, let everybody have their moment in the spotlight. I didn't exactly know this was going to turn into an advice video. Guess I should throw in, play in a way that works for your table and check in from time to time to make sure that it really is working for everybody. That's not just for DMs. If you're a player that tends to take charge at the table, then really take charge. Make sure everyone is having fun. There are a lot of these jobs to figure out, and it might really enhance your game to do the thinking about it and doing the working about it. When your party brings in a bunch of odd treasures, who sells the gems and bit bobs of jewelry? Is it laundered through a thieves guild or just dumped into the open market? Which player does that work? What risks are being incurred? Is there more money to be made? Does the group have a financial specialist? What about a chief researcher? Who in your party does the PR work? Is there a political liaison? You know, somebody to keep connections up with the local mayor and later a nobleman and eventually the king. Last thing. Alright, last thing on the what are you list. This might be best described as a faction tag. If you are a member of the Crosstown Smugglers Guild, are you automatically a rogue? Of course not. Then again, the majority likely are. You're probably not a paladin, and we can put some odds on the other classes if we really wanted to get into it. Now, these days, there are monster manual entries for all kinds of regular people. It's convenient, but that's all that it is. I really have a hard time not thinking about all exceptional Velito as some class of adventurer. Adventurer, yeah, that's another thing. We'll save that one for later. I've made this case in other videos. I probably harp on it more than I should, but we're going to do it again. Factions should never be monocultures. Wizard schools will have sorcerers, warlocks, artificers, and other half-casters in their ranks. Druids and nature clerics are likely to be intermingled in a world. Paladinic orders will often be made up of fighters, battle clerics, and all sorts of other types, along with spell support. Any large order is going to have rogues, spy types, who are definitely full members. The relationship between druids, clerics, and warlocks is definitely a special case. In fact, I'll include zealot barbarians and paladins. It's all in a world of definitions, but anyone who teaches or carries out the will of a celestial power or holy doctrine in general might very well call themselves a priest, or a cleric, or a dozen other things. For heaven's sake, don't be afraid to make up your own terms. I used to use the word friar to describe anybody that preached the word. You could be a fighter who called themselves a friar because they were devout and they spoke the truth. They spoke the words of some particular deity. Just focusing on warlocks for a second, these are spellcasters that may be directly carrying out the will of a major being, if not a legitimate god. Warlocks heading churches in Dungeons & Dragons should be 100% normal. My usual go-to is for patrons to come from 2nd, 3rd, or sometimes 4th level tiers of the celestial hierarchy. These are powerful beings carrying out some really specific tasks that fall in line with the beliefs of the church and faith in general. When you're building a pantheon from the ground up in a religious culture, you can really build some complex systems involving a lot of interlocking pieces from the D&D toolbox. Circling back to tie this thing off, you can be a thief because you are a thug in a thieves guild. Your character sheet says fighter, but you're only a little bit stealthy, and your sleight of hand skill is a measure of how hard you can hit somebody over the head. But if you take things from people, you are a thief. And I bet you most thieves guilds are going to be proud to have you. You can be a priest without being a cleric or a holy warrior under just about any class. Now what about that term, adventurer? One moment please. Yeah, just double checking the official D&D terms, and they're still the same. An adventurer. Adventures. But what if you're more of a soldier? A special operative that's part of a fighting team. A special forces unit. In one campaign, I called them paramilitias, or PMs. In that same world, adventurers are called warriors. And that's not just fighters. That's not just tough guys. That's anybody that is brave enough to pick up a weapon in defense of the clan. Honestly, I like the word fighting team better than adventuring team, but you can use whatever you like, obviously, come up with your own stuff, and you can make it unique to given cultures. This can be something that's different in different parts of your world. Now, even out of the warriors, there were different kinds. There were monster hunters, there were soldiers. Soldiers tended to be those that took skills. Now, mind you, this is a completely different system, but soldiers tended to be those that took skills that were built around battlefield combat, long combats, maneuvers, lasting in battlefield conditions. Monster hunters only cared about those intense flurries of violence where it's you or the monster that's going down. The whole thing's only going to take a few moments, or maybe a minute at best. The main point here is this is all a world building opportunity. All of these terms are things that you can work with. Think about what your adventuring teams are called in game. What roles do they fulfill? Are they allowed to just go out and pick their own jobs and do what they want? Is all the wealth that they gather along the way theirs, or does it belong to the state, or is it taxed? There's a lot of different ways you can handle this. You can make it simple, or you can muddle it up, make it a little bit complicated. Um, what are the members that make up one of these teams called? Are they knights? Are they called heroes? Are they part of larger groups, or do they operate independently? Is there any oversight? Do they use teleport circles to get around? Okay, no, enough of that. All right, we're ready for the outro. It says here that I have a Tuesday night game. We're recording late. Tuesday night's over. It was a good game. Enjoyed it. Introduced a young lady to the game. She'd never played before. She was brave enough to come and play in front of strangers. She did awesome, and I hope that she really enjoyed herself. We enjoyed having her at the table. As far as where we're going with the station, I got another eco episode coming up sometime in the next few weeks. Other than that, we are getting back to some very core stuff. I'm thinking some blank page builds, maybe related to each other, maybe not, maybe just all completely from their own point of view. Pure world building, relatively short videos, a lot of packed in content to try to spark some inspiration, some ideas for you guys. As always, that's all I'm trying to do. Not trying to change the way you run your games, just giving a little tic tac that might drive you one way or another to help enliven the amazing world that you have already built. In the meantime, leave a comment, like, sub, all the usual stuff. And one usual question. What do you want to see in upcoming videos? Second question. I'm planning on asking this every single time. Have you seen my TikTok? It's about a video every other day or so, mostly during the week. It's really just exists to drive people here to the YouTube channel. If it succeeded, if you're here because you saw it, please let me know. I would love to know. You guys, you are all important people to this world. I will see you next time. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of the day. Cheers.